What's up, Foundation? What's up, YouTube? Man, it's me, your big partner, Cartoon 53. Man, I'm back again, homie. Man, I'm back again to answer a question that a lot of people in the YouTube metaverse has been asking me. Why they ask this question, I don't know. I'm not, because I'm wondering a lot of if a lot of the other LA YouTubers get asked this question. You know what I'm saying? Especially the ones that are gang affiliated. The question is, people ask me, why did I start banging from Fire Trey Avalon? Fire Trey Avalon. They want to know what was it about Fire Trey that made me want to be from there. Now, they've been asking me this since last year because, of course, y'all know when I first jumped onto the YouTube scene, I advocated, I used to advocate my set a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? Every video was Fire Trey Avalon this, Fire Trey Avalon that. Every other word was Fire Trey. I made like little documentary videos about my homegirls. You know what I'm saying? It was just me really going out my way, you know what I'm saying, to put that Avalon gang on the map. You know what I'm saying? That was one of the main catalysts that drove me to YouTube. It was two or three of them, but one of them was that. You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't really hip to this social media era, but once I started watching YouTube and I started seeing the other LA gang member that had channels, you know what I'm saying, promoting they set, you know what I'm saying, put it out there. I started seeing a lot of other YouTubers was talking about a lot of other sets in LA. They wasn't talking about that big bad A gang, homie. They wasn't talking about that big bad AVALON. And I was like, you know what, man? Bump that. I got to, hey, man, I got to do something to let, you know what I'm saying, to let let the masses know, let the world know that it's, you know what I'm saying, it's a group of guys over there on that east side of South Central called East Side Avalon Gangster Cribs. That's about that life. But it wasn't nobody talking about it enough for me. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it was a little something here, a little something there. But I just felt in my heart, other sets was getting a little bit too much notoriety. They was getting a little bit too much airplay. And the A gang wasn't getting they wasn't getting their just desserts. Bump giving them some flowers. No, that Avalon gang needed a whole rose garden. As far as I'm concerned. Now, of course, I'm biased because you know what I'm saying, that's where I'm from. But anyway, thus, here it is, a year and a half later, year and some change later, Cartoon 53 is live and in color. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, and repping that East Side Avalon Gangster Crip to the fullest. But anyway, back to the lesson at hand. Why did I choose to be from Fire Trey? Okay. Now, what a lot of people don't know, before my people moved further up into the 50s, I grew up in the 40s. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in the 40s. And Avalon Fire Trey take up a lot of space. You know what I'm saying? Basically, we go from 45th all the way to 58th. We go from 45th all the way to 58th. Basically, that's saying we go from Vernon all the way to Slauson. Now, I could have easily, you know what I'm saying, I could have easily been from 5 Trey, or I could have been from 4 Trey. I was right there in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Right there in the middle. And I could have went, either way, as as a young kid. But now, it was two things that swayed me. It was two things that swayed me. And one of the main components that swayed me was I had a childhood friend, man. I had a childhood friend that went to elementary school with me. My homeboy Looney. My homeboy Looney. And he was one of the main components of swaying me to go that way. The other component that swayed me was one day I was with my cousin, and my cousin was coming out of me and my cousin, we were coming out of a liquor store right there on the corner of, I remember it like it was yesterday, right there on the corner of Central and Exposition. It was a little liquor store right there on the corner of Central and Exposition. And I remember coming out and it was a girl crying. She was mad because right there back then at that time, that was a blood area. That was, it was Pyrus over there back then. And this was back in this was back in going into like the late 70s. This might have been about, to be exact, I ain't gonna put no 3 on the 10. This might have been about 77. About 1977, probably. And I remember going into the store with my cousin, cause my cousin stayed over there. And when we was going in, it was 2 girls coming out. And one of the girls was crying. She was, and what had happened was she had got into it with some bloods, a dude that was a blood slapped her, or he did something to her. What he did, I don't know. But she was crying, talking about it. And you know how girls be talking, and I remember her saying, they make me sick. I hate them. Make me sick. Then she said, I bet they won't go over there to South Park and get bad with them Crips over there in South Park. Whoa. That held a lot of weight with me. That held a lot of weight with me. South Park. Oh. So in my young mind back then at the time, I'm like, oh, so the blood scared of the Crips in South Park. You know what I'm saying? Whoa. So, as a young kid, my older cousin used to always tell me and another one of my cousins growing up. He say, man, look, y'all gonna be Crips. Now, I've told the story before. My older cousin was from Compton. He was from Spooktown. And he would always tell me and my cousin, man, boy, look here, when you get older, you gonna be a Crip. When you get older, you gonna be a Crip. You gonna be a Crip. I'm like, all right. You know what I'm saying? Now, at the time, back when he was telling me this, mid 70s, early 70s, I think, I didn't know what a Crip was. I just didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Just didn't know. Eventually found out. You know how it is. Young kid don't know. Ain't paying no attention to all that. So as time went on, I realized that was what I was going to be, because my cousin told me that's what I was going to be. And I idolized him. I told y'all before in stories, my mother had to stop letting him come around because she knew he was a bad influence on me. Anything he said, and I took it to my little small brain, it was written on stone. It was written in stone. The story that I told y'all, last year about how I ended up getting into it with my father and tearing his house up because he hit me in the head with a broom when my mama sent me to live with him in Inglewood. Now he didn't hit me hard, but he hit me with the little strawy part. But I was mad about that anyway. But what had happened was, like I told you, his wife had told me to wash the dishes. And I'm like, huh? My mom, I don't wash no dishes. I stopped washing dishes at my own mama house because my older cousin told me that a man don't wash dishes. So now here it is. This bro sit up there and told me wash some dishes. I wasn't gonna do it. So pops, tapped me in the head. Well, wash them dishes. I went in there with to breaking them up. But anyway, y'all heard that story. That was the type of influence that my cousin had on me. Whatever he said went. And my cousin told me at a young age, I might have been 8 or 9, something like that, just guessing, if I can remember. I might have been 8 or 9 or something. He told me I was going to be a Crip. And that was in my mind for the rest of my life until I eventually became one. Because he told me that, I seeked out and sought out that until I finally acquired it. But anyway, when I never forget hearing that girl say that coming out that store that day, that the Bloods were scared to go over there to South Park and mess with them Crips. So with that being, you know what I'm saying, now here it is, you got South Park on this side of me. You got Gilbert Lindsay on this side of me. South Park is where the 5 Trays were from. Gilbert Lindsay was where the 4 Trays were from. Now, of course, as time went on, I would hear about the 5 Tray Avalons. I would hear about the 4 Tray Avalons. Of course, back then, they was both Avalons, Avalon Crips. So, as time went on, my young childhood friend, Looney, because, real name was Roger, but my homeboy, he eventually became Looney, because, he eventually became from the set too. But when we was kids, I called him by his real name, Roger. I asked him one day at school, I said, man, you gonna join the gang? And he told me, he like, yeah. I'm like, man, what gang you gonna join? You gonna be a Crip? And he was telling me then he was already a Crip. But he really wasn't, but he was, because I later on found out that his whole family that was on this side of Central, because he had family on the Blood side of the fence that was on the other side of Central. But all of his family that was on this side of Central were Crips. They were from 5 Tray. In fact, my road dog, my Ace Boone Coon, my heart, my other half, Crazy Ray, was his cousin. Was one of his cousins. Was from the set. So anyway, now what me and Looney was talking about preceded me and Crazy Ray's tightness. In fact, I didn't even know Crazy Ray at the time. So like I say, in elementary school, he was like, yeah. So I'm like, I remember telling him, me too. You know what I'm saying? Me too. So I'm like, man, where you gonna be from? Now, at the time, the homie, Looney stayed up in the 50s. In fact, I think we stayed on 50th, I think, back then at that time. Anyway, so of course, it was a quite natural progression for him to be from 5 Tray, because like I say, all of his family, and his family, some original homies, big homies, you know what I'm saying? OG homies from the set. All of them that was on this side of Central from 5 Tray. So of course, and that included men and women. So anyway, it was a foregone conclusion when he said, man, 5 Tray Avalon. I'm like, 5 Tray? I'm like, yeah. So, of course, with me knowing that the 5 Tray Avalons was in South Park, I always remembered what the little young girl was saying coming out that liquor store that day. I bet them Bloods won't go up there and mess with them Crips in South Park. Now, of course, it wasn't, at that time, way back then, as a young kid, I didn't know which one was tougher, which one was deeper, which one was none of that. I didn't know that. That wasn't even a concern to me. Who had the most membership, or who was this or who was that. That wasn't even a concern to me. So I just knew that if I go left, you go into the 4 Trays. If I go right, you're going to the 5 trays. And but now when Looney said 5 tray, that was it, homie. It was written in stone for me. It was written in stone because, like I say, he was my childhood friend. And if that's what, and I already had designs and plans on becoming a Crip, regardless of whatever anybody said. But now when he said 5 tray, that it was a lock, stock, and barrel for me. It was lock, stock, and barrel for me. Okay, cool. 5 tray is what it is what it is. And that's what it was, and that's what it became. And it was as far as the picking between them two, whew, I lucked up. Cause man, I am so glad to this day I did not go the other way. Woo woo. Boy, I'm glad. I am so glad. I'm so glad. Of course, because the choice I made, I picked the bigger set. And in my eyes, let me tell it, of course I'm biased. I picked the downer set. You know what I'm saying? And that was that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, okay, cool. And that's when we decided that's what we was gonna do. That's when we start counting down the days to when we were going to get put on. We used to hang on the back street on 49th. That was our little street. And if it wasn't on the back street, it would be on Parkfront Walk, right there in the houses. Cause look, we was youngsters, but now it was me, Looney. Oh shoot, I had a homie named Connie. Oh shoot, it was me. It was me, Looney, Connie. Another homie named Bone. He gone. And a homie named Tansy. Dang. Who else? One or two more. It was about six of us that kind of hung together, right there, either on 49th or on Parkfront Walk. And finally, when the day finally came to get put on the set, it was at nighttime. You know what I'm saying? I remember the homies that was there. I remember the situation. Remember how it happened. But decided, man, look, this is it. This is it. And went on into South Park one night, man. Let's get this over with, man. Let's do this. Cool. We went down through there. But now my crew was still my little partners that hung on Parkfront Walk right there. You know what I'm saying? We was hanging in the houses or either right there on the back street. As time went on, though, I eventually broke off away from them because all the dudes I just named, that little crew, they were from the set, but they were not banging the set the way I wanted to bang the set, the way I started wanting to bang the set. So eventually, I broke off from them because now Looney, like I said, the homie Looney, he was from the set, but he was more he used to break in houses and get money. He was more of a hustler type guy, wanted to get money. He was from the set, but the homie used to get money. Told y'all all the time, when I came up, money was not my thing. Gang banging was my thing. It's what I wanted to do. It was direction that I wanted to go. So one day I made the decision that I'm not finna hang with y'all no more. I'm finna hang with the homies that hang in the park or hang down on Woodlawn. We used to hang in what we used to call the Wood Hood, because back then we had what was called the 5/8 bumper jacks, bumper jack Crips. They eventually all about 79 or 80, they end up all turning 5 tray. But before then, they were still around. We hung with each other. You couldn't tell us apart. But the homies that hung in the park, that's the crew that I wanted to be with instead of the crew that hung over here on the back street or on Parkfront Walk. So, I'm like, I made the cut, man. I'm finna go over here. You had the homies like my homeboy Crip and Casper, Soup, Tiki, Bull Capone, Cool Boo, Killer D. You know what I'm saying? Ant Dog, all them. I'm like, man, you know what? I'm finna hang with them. I'm finna hang. They was gang banging. You know what I'm saying? They was about that work. They was about that work, man. And I never forget when I made sound like, man, I'm finna go kick it over here. My homeboy, little fella, Big Nose. You know what I'm saying? All of them. I'm talking about stomp down gangsters, homie. Some real East Siders right here. And so that's the direction I went. Start hanging with that crew. So I never forget one day, man. We was belling through South Park, young kids. We belling through the park, and I seen Looney and Connie and all of them, and they I kind of peeled off, and I went over there to holler at them real quick. Oh, what's up, cuz? Woo woo woo. So I never forget, man. Looney telling me like, boy, dang, Toon. You gang banging for real, huh? I'm like, yeah, man, yeah. He like, man, you hanging with them. I'm like, yeah, I'm hanging with them, man. It was like a badge of honor. And he was saying it in a way like, well, now you hanging with the real Crips instead of, just us. But kind of basically that's like what it really was, But I had to get with the officials. But yeah, man, and as time went on, I realized that I had made the right decision because them other cats that I just was talking about, man, I remember at one time back in the day, I don't think it was 10 of them left. Man, I mean around, man, it looked like, it seemed to me about 79 or 80. They had fell out with the Friday Broadways, and boy, they was doing bad. They was shout. They was shout. So I knew then I'd made the right decision. But anyway, so now for those who the people in the comments who have been asking me the question about why I want to be for Fire Avalon, now you got the whole play. You got the whole hookup. You got the whole thing, man. So, man, it's me, your big partner, Cartoon. I represent Avalon gangsters. I'm out. Peace.